From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
A call for federal help from the Arizona border as Yuma declares a state of emergency. See how they're managing the overwhelming number of migrant families being released in the city.
Plus, find out why this development is at the center of a lawsuit from the state attorney general's office.
And more graffiti is popping up around trails, costing thousands of dollars to clean up. How one group of military vets are power washing their way to a better environment.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Imani Stevens.
And I'm Eliav Gabay. Thank you for joining us.
We received information from Border Patrol that they were providing over 70 individuals this morning to the shelter, putting us extremely over our capacity, and just got word that they will be providing 50 more by the end of the day. The transportation network is just insufficient in order to keep up with the demand, and the backlog of people staying at the shelter has created this capacity issue.
The immigration issue reaches the boiling point in Yuma, Arizona. Mayor Doug Nichols signed an emergency proclamation yesterday. He says there's just too many people and not enough resources. Nichols is asking the federal government for resources, possibly even help from FEMA.
The city's emergency shelter can hold 150 people, but was already over capacity before the notification from Border Patrol. Austin Westfall is in Yuma at the Salvation Army, which is also hosting migrant families, taking in about 1,300 just in the last 3 weeks.
The actual location where the Salvation Army is housing migrants is kept a secret. So I was asked to meet with their captain at Catholic Community Services, a humanitarian aid organization that's with the Catholic Church, with several locations, including one right here in Yuma. Now, the Salvation Army says they're housing about 200 migrants right now, but they're only comfortable with about 150 max. They're hoping that the new emergency declaration might help secure more resources.
Right, it opens up an avenue of revenue source on a state and possibly a federal level that we can sustain or even alleviate some of the pressure that we're experiencing right now. It costs money to take care of people.
Brazil says all the migrants under the Salvation Army are families. The ratio is 3 children to every 1 adult. And Mayor Nichols says that with this emergency declaration, he hopes to get state and federal authorities to help him with this influx of migrants. In Yuma, Austin Westfall, Cronkite News.
Some migrants could be behind bars for years rather than days. Yesterday, Attorney General William Barr ordered that some migrants claiming asylum will be denied bail to stop what President Trump calls the, quote, catch and release program. Under previous policy, asylum-seeking migrants were allowed a hearing where they got the chance to provide proof of legitimate fear about going back to their home country. This order is set to go into effect in 90 days.
The U.S. House Ethics Committee released a report today saying there's substantial reason to believe Arizona Representative David Schweikert improperly billed campaign expenses to his congressional office. The initial report came out of an investigation that started nearly a year ago. The Office of Congressional Ethics unanimously recommended further review. The investigation is into allegations that Schweikert authorized improper payments from congressional funds to his former chief of staff, Oliver Schwab, outside the scope of permissible expenses. The Arizona Republic reports Schweikert's office says it looks forward to providing any information to resolve the matter.
With the photos in hand of loved ones, survivors and families of distracted driving welcome legislators into the House of Representatives today. They're urging Arizona lawmakers to act on the 3 proposed laws that would ban distracted driving related to cell phones. 3 proposed bills are awaiting votes at the state capitol. 2 of those bills ban total use of cell phones while driving, and the other toughens the current state law on distracted driving. The mother of fallen Salt River police officer Clayton Townsend shared why she continues to fight for lawmakers to act.
We're hoping that by passing this bill that there are law-abiding citizens in Arizona and that they will abide by the law. So if we can do anything to help, decrease the incidence of texting and distracted driving, that's what we're here to do.
I didn't want anyone else to have to have that happen to them. So I've been here ever since, trying to get a law passed for the state of Arizona so that other Arizonans can be protected where it really wasn't.
A private meeting was called today to discuss the next move for the bills. After that, House Speaker Rusty Bowers announced he would allow votes on all three of the proposed bills.
A rally called to hold leaders accountable and make a change in Arizona's criminal justice system took place today at the state capitol. The Lucha-led gathering featured speakers who shared their experiences dealing with Arizona's justice system. They also called out County Attorney Bill Montgomery and other lawmakers for refusing to hear bills they say would have helped resolve the state's mass incarceration issues.
The criminal justice system sees putting people in cages as the solution to everything. For us, putting a person in a cage is not going to do anything.
To the recent proposed criminal justice legislation, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office sent out data that shows the prison population in the state is down, and defendants are being sentenced less now than any time in the last 8 years. A protest-like rally is being held tonight outside of Montgomery's office as Lucha and other mass liberation groups continue to push for change.
Online real estate market company Zillow is opening a new hub in the state of Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Madeline Holler was in Old Town Scottsdale for Governor Doug Ducey's announcement.
Zillow is a trending real estate marketplace on the web and mobile devices. Next Monday, Zillow Offers is celebrating 1 year of business. To Governor Ducey, for decades, Arizona has been known as a home building capital.
And today, we announce the latest news, that Zillow will be expanding here at the Galleria with more than 160 new jobs and a capital investment of $7.2 million.
The tech real estate giant's president, Eric Proner, says the Zillow Group has already experienced fast-paced growth in its 1 year of business.
We're having every 5 minutes, we're getting requests for an offer. That equates to about $100 million of activity, of interest in our program every day.
Other government officials like Congressman David Schweikert were also in attendance, recognizing how impactful Zillow's decision to expand is for the Arizona economy.
Where we are today compared to just a few years ago, of incomes moving up, opportunities being stunning, you're functionally in a community that is statistically hitting something that's impossible. It's almost full employment.
Governor Ducey highlights that Zillow's investment in Arizona also furthers the state's goals for innovation.
I think it's so symbolic of Zillow's expansion here that is reflective of the technology that we are bringing to the state of Arizona, that we are on the cutting edge of technology, and this company is Exhibit A for what's happening, not just at the Galleria, which is an incredible location, but throughout the state.
Zillow's office expansion will serve as the Southwest hub for Zillow Offers. In Old Town Scottsdale, Madeline Holler, Cronkite News.
No official timeline has been released on when the expansion is to take place.
Of course, Zillow is a company that helps people find homes. And Amani, I don't know about you, but I think people like to move here for the weather.
Well, while it's dry most of the time, sometimes you might see some raindrops, including yesterday where many spots around the valley saw their first drops of rain for this month.
Cronkite News weather forecaster Jordan Evans is live from Tempe to give us some insight on what to expect. Jordan?
That's right, Eliav and Amani. In fact, yesterday could be the only time here in the valley we see rain for this month, as we're going to be drying out thanks to another big ridge of high pressure moving in. But in the meantime, though, last night in Sky Harbor, they officially picked up 0.01 inches. Yes, 0.01 inches. There were some spots out in the mesa and out in the East Valley that did pick up 1/4 of an inch, but all in all, a pretty wet day across the valley, especially up the north. But there was just so much dry air here at the surface that we could not see a lot of that rain make it all the way to the ground. Now, as we track those temperatures out for you this evening, sunset officially at 7 p.m. on the dot tonight. And I have to say, your evening can't get much better than this, as we're going to ride those 70s out all the way through 10 p.m. We'll go with 78 at 7 o'clock and only falling slightly throughout the evening. Now, at sunrise tomorrow, we will bottom out in those upper 50s to low 60s across the valley. But don't let those cool morning temperatures fool you, as we're going to be heating your forecast up quickly starting tomorrow.
I'll be sure to break it down for you hour by hour coming up in your forecast in just minutes.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, the Arizona Attorney General is suing Arizona State.
Why the AG office says a conference center soon to be built on ASU's Tempe campus violates the state constitution.
Plus, bringing music to the far corners of the state. See how students in the Navajo Nation are learning new notes.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
The Arizona Attorney General is suing Arizona State University for what the office says is a violation of the state's constitution. At issue, a deal to bring an Omni Hotel and Conference Center to ASU's Tempe campus. Cronkite News reporter Bryce Newberry joins us live with a look at the battle.
The university says this is a hotel and conference center that's desperately needed. But the Attorney General's office says the university is passing along its tax breaks to private corporations. At the corner of Mill Avenue and University Drive, plans to build an Omni Hotel and Conference Center are on hold as a battle plays out in Arizona's Superior Court.
ASU is supposed to be an educational institution, not a real estate development company, and that's where the focus should be. It should be on educating students as nearly free as possible.
The Arizona Attorney General suing the university and Arizona Board of Regents for giving a hotel corporation millions of dollars in discounted property valuations and amenities, which are meant for public universities to keep their own costs down.
The public needs to know the truth about this deal, which is a bad deal for the people of Arizona.
The university responding, as in the past, neither the law nor the facts are on the side of the Office of the Attorney General. An approximately $25 million investment in the construction of a conference center and a parking garage is not a gift. That investment will yield revenue of approximately $140 million for the university. Paul Eckstein is the attorney representing ASU.
How can you ignore the $140 million that's coming in over 60 years? That's what the Attorney General is attempting to do. And that's, as President Bush once said, voodoo economics.
The Attorney General's office claims ASU failed to have a public hearing and sold the land for $85 per square foot, compared to nearby land that recently sold for $212 per square foot. But the university says they didn't have to have a public hearing because the land is actually being leased for 60 years to Omni, not sold. Eckstein says new revenue sources are needed to educate students.
With legislatures all over the country, but particularly here in Arizona, cutting back, cutting to the bone the amount of money that is appropriated, it is perfectly understandable and wise for universities to do what ASU is doing.
But the AG's office says ASU must be stopped from moving forward.
Finally, we have a fundamental problem with ASU renting out its tax-exempt status to favored developers.
One issue the Attorney General's office has raised is that the lease agreement allows the Omni Hotel to buy the land for only $10. Today, ASU's attorney told me that's after the 60-year lease or after at least 3 years of the lease, and only if a judge were to decide the property is subject to taxes, which have to exceed the annual payment the Omni would be making to ASU. The Board of Regents has filed 4 motions to dismiss the case, and more filings are expected next week. Live in the studio, Bryce Newberry, Cronkite News.
Trees, animals, and graffiti?
Hikers are spotting more graffiti on rocks while out on the trails.
We'll tell you how one group is trying to get an upper hand on cleaning up graffiti in the wild.
With wildfires, a scarcity of water, and other environmental issues facing the Earth today, it's critical to stay up to date with local impacts of a changing climate. That's why we created Elemental, covering sustainability, a multimedia collaboration between public television and radio stations. From climate change to water conservation to renewable energy and much more, Elemental covers the latest in sustainability news. Find our stories on our website, elementalreports.com.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
President Donald Trump has officially signed the Colorado River Drought Contingency Plan. The legislation directs the Secretary of the Interior to adhere to agreements previously adopted by 7 states, including Arizona. The plan aims to keep 2 key reservoirs, Lakes Mead and Powell, from falling to levels where they can't deliver water. The DCP, as well as another earlier drought plan, expire in 2026. But there's a lawsuit filed to block the plan, filed in Los Angeles by the Imperial Irrigation District.
There's an ongoing problem with people leaving their mark on places like the Grand Canyon and the Superstition Mountains. Cronkite News reporter Jody Guerrero shows us how one organization is working to clean up the graffiti. Jody?
Near Florence, in a desert area with big boulders, vandals left their mark. But Nicole Corey and her husband, who co-founded the nonprofit organization Natural Restorations, are making it their mission to preserve the desert landscape there and around the state. A $5 can of spray paint can end up costing tens of thousands of dollars in damage.
And we think that everyone should have the opportunity to come out and experience nature without seeing trash or graffiti.
This is why Nicole and Justin Corey and their team camped out for 2 weeks near Florence to clean up the graffiti. Destructive artwork like this can get so deep into the rocks that it can take up to weeks to remove. While it may be hard to point fingers, Corey says she has an idea of why people do this.
I could leave my mark and put my name on here because everybody else did, so it must be okay. And so our thought is, by removing this graffiti, our hope is that when new kids come into this area, they won't see any graffiti and it won't even occur to them to spray paint the rocks.
The price tag to erase these names and hashtags off the boulders is $20,000. That's for the pressure washer, the chemicals, and the payment to the military veterans they hire. Natural Restoration started in 2015. Since then, the crew has removed more than 28,000 square feet of graffiti from wilderness and outdoor recreation areas. Nicole says the idea for the nonprofit came after her husband took his best friend, a veteran, camping for a nature detox. Justin's friend returned from the U.S. with brain injuries and PTSD after several tours in the Middle East.
At the end of their trip, they decided to pick up all the trash that was around their camp that was left behind from other people. And Derek said it was the first time he had just stopped to relax.
So they decided to contract with veterans like Sean Brooks. He says it's hard transitioning from the military to civilian life because the military is a brotherhood.
You get into the civilian side of things and you just never feel like you really fit.
Brooks says working out here on these boulders helps him relax and focus. He sees the work as a beneficial relationship between his military past and the environment.
You have this fog in your brain, this kind of depression you don't even realize is in you until it's gone. And to come out to a job like this and to see that go away and your personalities bloom.
As much as the environment heals the veterans, they too play a big part in helping heal Arizona's environment. The 5-member team removed 20,000 square feet of graffiti from the boulders near Florence. They're working to plan their next project to remove graffiti from areas in the Superstition Mountains and Canyon Lake. In the broadcast center, Jody Guerrero, Cronkite News.
Going outdoors and doing some cleaning. It seems like a good idea, right? But you might want to wait a couple of days, as it sounds like things are going to be heating up across Arizona very soon.
Jordan Evans rejoins us live in Tempe. And Jordan, when can we expect the 90s?
But we're forecasting 90s here in the valley starting tomorrow and near triple-digit temperatures starting on Friday. In fact, that's all because of a big Pacific high-pressure ridge that's going to be pushing into the region, pushing that storm system out of our state that brought some cooler temperatures and even some rain across the state as well. Let's track it out for you here on Moisture Futurecast. In fact, this is one reason why we're going to be warming up, is because these dew points are going to drop into the 20s starting tomorrow and into Friday. And the larger the gap between the air temperature and the dew point, the more dry the air is, which is another reason why we're going to be warming up very quickly here across the valley. Now, as we check those temperatures out for you, hour by hour tomorrow, we'll go with 64 in the morning, up into the 80s by 11. And we're going to top out around 91 between 4 and 6 p.m. tomorrow. Also, keep in mind that UV index is going to be at a 9 tomorrow between 11 and 2 p.m. So you want to limit your time outside between those hours and use sunscreen and hats to protect yourself from getting that sunburn during the early afternoon tomorrow. Now, across the state, temperatures will be a bit cooler up north. We'll go with 69 up at the Grand Canyon, 67 for you guys down in Flagstaff, 91 in Casa Grande, and pretty warm out to the west as well with upper 90s, or mid-90s, I should say, up and down the Colorado River Valley, Yuma topping out at 94 degrees. Fast forwarding to Friday, that's when those triple digits will begin to set in across some spots in south central Arizona. Gila Bend, I'm going to go with 101 for you guys in Yuma at 100 degrees exactly. Here in the Valley of the Sun, we could top out around 99, and some spots could even hit that triple-digit mark. We'll see 80s up in Kingman, Prescott, and Sedona, and then 70s for Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, down through Heber and Shoalo as well. So as we check the next 7 days for you, we're going to keep the abundant sunshine and put it on repeat all the way through next week. 99 again on Friday, a slight cool down heading into Saturday and Sunday. We'll see those 80s come back on Sunday as a couple of cold fronts come through. And then it's back up to the mid-90s starting on Wednesday. In fact, 97, even triple digits for sure as we get into the later part of next week. Now, just to put that stat into perspective for you, we normally top out around 100 degrees on May 2nd here in the Valley, and it's very possible we could do it as early as Friday. Reporting live from Tempe Town Lake, Jordan Evans, Cronkite News.
Coming up next, music education has shown to help children learn other skills.
And one organization is working to bring the gift of song to children on the Navajo Nation. Hear how music is making a difference in their lives.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Many Arizona schools provide music classes for students, but for children growing up in the Navajo Nation, access to music education can almost be non-existent. Cronkite News reporter Hattie Meyer went to Window Rock, Arizona, where one unique program is changing that.
Currently, more than 40 children are participating in this program, giving many of them, for the first time, the opportunity to bring the magic of music into their lives.
It's really nice to play music. It just helps you not to be scared, nervous, or not to be sad.
For 14-year-old Lily Williams and other Native children living in the Navajo Nation, life isn't always easy.
We've seen a lot of children in the area being abused or suicidal.
But with donated instruments, volunteer instructors, and a few hours once a month, the Native American Music Fund is trying to make things a little brighter.
Now we want to gift back to the community and provide a safe place for the children to come at least once a month.
Michelle Morgan Flowers founded the program in 2013 and says it's more than just an escape for the children. For many, this is the only access they have to music education.
But a lot of the children are in boarding schools or other facilities that do not have music electives. A lot of our children are watching YouTube videos and teaching themselves.
Through partnerships with music companies and public donations, the kids get to take instruments home with them. But Morgan Flowers says this too can be a struggle. Approximately 60,000 Navajo live without electricity. But despite the challenges, this program helps bring hope for the kids and the adults who teach them.
So you can feel the vibrations, and when everybody's smiling at you and giving you their attention, it's just the best warming feeling that you can get.
What a gift to be able to bring the families together. It's a beautiful thing when we can do that for our children and the families here.
The Fun's next music class is scheduled for June 22nd at the Navajo Nation Museum in Window Rock. These classes are all free. In the Broadcast Center, Hattie Meyer, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, we will speak with state Democratic leaders in our weekly legislative update, and we'll hear about lessons learned from women in leadership. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm William Brangham. We're here in Antarctica reporting on people coming here from all over the world to this very bottom of the world. What impact are all those visitors having on this ecosystem? That's on the next PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.